Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Saber04 with a new Stage 1 deck to show you guys in Standard this time, not Expanded. It is going to be the Guardians Rising, trusty old Guardians Rising, Garbodor here, combined with the Team Up Alolan Muk with Adventurous Appetite. Now, this sort of combination was really threatening, was really scary when we first learned about it. I remember thinking that Alolan Muk from Team Up in Dark Order was the Japanese said was going to be a really dangerous Pokemon. I mean, we've already experienced how strong Garbodor can be when your opponent gets a bunch of trainers in the discard pile. It can do Trash Lands for hundreds of damage for just one energy. So when a card that was going to be a stage 1 that dumps items from your opponent's deck, whether they like it or not, was going to be released, you know, it was just an obvious, really scary combo. But the deck hasn't really done anything, at least to my knowledge. It hasn't really accomplished much. And my theory is that because this guy's a stage 1 and Garbodor is a stage 1, it's kind of difficult to make this sort of a stage 1, multiple stage 1s kind of a deck, make it consistent. Now, you got to remember that Garbodor, even though he's quite good, most of the time he's kind of like a backup attacker in things like Espeon, Drampa, used with the Buzzles. He's like a backup attacker. He's never been the main attacker of a deck. But this is going to change with this deck, as I'm going to try and make these guys work, make the Trashalanche Garbodor be the main attacker, and with the help of Alolan Muk, dump the items there and do high damage for only one energy. So this is the combo. Pretty simple. You want to get your Alolan Muk out, get multiple of these with Adventurous Appetite. When you evolve into this dude, you reveal the top 6 cards of your opponent's deck, and you discard any number of items you find there. So that's a lot of milling. Like even just milling your opponent's deck, not just fueling for Garbodor, is a really strong effect, making your opponent lose their valuable items. So that's where this guy comes in. And then Garbodor, of course, is going to be our main attacker. Now the line is pretty simple. This is why I'm going all over the place. It's just a 4 Trubbish, 4 Alolan Grimer, and a Muk and Garbodor line. Now note, we do have a few different options for these basic Pokemon, namely this Alolan Grimer. I'm running this one from Burning Shadows with Division. At least if you open with this guy with this big retreat, you can search your deck for other Alolan Grimers and put them onto your bench. You can search one. It's a costless attack too. You don't even need to spend an energy. So it works out nicely. I believe this is the best Grimer to run in a deck like this. Boost up your consistency as much as you can. If you want to run another one, it's up to you. All of them have pretty much 80 HP. Some of them even have 70 HP, I think. 80 and 70. I don't believe there's any with 90 or something. So, you know, they're all going to have decent HP, big retreats. So, yeah. And then for the Trubbish, it's this good old Guardians Rising Trubbish. A little clay art here, I'm pretty sure. You can use Stomp Off to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. This can be handy. It sort of builds up, pairs up nicely with Garbodor. Dump items like that. If you get lucky, you might dump an item. Maybe you'll dump something else significant. And help fuel Garbodor. You gotta get like at least, I don't know, like at least 5 items there. So you can do like 100 for 1. It's good. And then you want to go over that. Dump as many. Preferably you want to get one-hit knockouts on Pokemon with this guy. So these are all basically the main Pokemon of the deck. The only other Pokemon is really this Jirachi for support, boost up our consistency. If we open with this guy, it's quite good. I have a bunch of switches, so it's going to work out. And then one Ditto, which can evolve into either Garbodor or Alolan Muk. Since we're running a 4-4 line of each of these guys, Ditto makes a lot of sense. But that's basically it. 19 Pokemon, a lot of Pokemon, so it's kind of a similar problem the Alolan Ninetales, the Ninetales Salazzle deck I showed you guys before has, is you gotta run a max line of stage 1s, and that fuels up your trainer line. You know, we can only have 31 trainers the way I have this deck here. So this is how I'm running the Pokemon. Now for the trainers, you gotta run your typical consistency boosters. The nest ball is very important. Get our basics super fast. Unfortunately, you can't really utilize things like Elm or Fan Club and Apricot Maker wouldn't be very good. So just running a bunch of these nest balls is the best way to go. You want to get a lot of your basics out immediately so you can evolve into Alolan Muks, get those items in the discard pile soon. So because without having a lot of trainers, our only attacker is this Garbodor, so you can't do a lot of damage if you don't have a lot of trainers. Without a lot of trainers in the discard pile, Trash Lunch can't do much, so you want to get quite a few and take full advantage of Garbodor because you only have 4 of these. 5, I guess, but the stretchers at best if you're going to get this in hand, or get maybe a few more if you put them back in the deck. But yeah, 3 nest ball, 2 communication. Since we have a big Pokemon line, communication is pretty good. If we have a bunch of dead stage 1s, we can't evolve them in the yet. You put them back in the deck, get something else, or get something that you need. Like maybe you need a Garbodor, you have a Alolan Muk, or vice versa. Swap one, get the other. That's the point. Maybe put a Jirachi there if we don't need it anymore. And yeah. Mysterious Treasure, I run 2 of these as well. It's a good little card, boost up the speed and consistency once again. Can search out the Garbodors easily, can search out Trubbish easily. It's a shame we can't search out Muk, but it is what it is. They decided not to make this one Psychic. I mean, maybe it's for the best, I guess. Maybe they thought it would be broken if this guy was Psychic too. But yeah, you can only search out the Garbodors and the Trubbish, but we have a lot of targets. It should be good. Then I run 2 Judge Whistle just for a general consistency. Draw a card, boost the deck, thin the deck as much as we can. 2 of these, and 1 Energy Spinner. If you get lucky and you play second, you can search out 3 Psychic Energies instantly like that. Really good. You don't need a lot of energies in this deck, which is why I only run 10, and there's not really much emphasis on them. You just need 1 to attach with Trash Lunch. You'll find most of the time you have spares, or you have spare attachments, what I meant to say, not spares in hand. We only have 10, so it is what it is. It's nice. It's nice though, at least, I guess if we don't need a lot of energies, as long as you get 1, you're good. Okay, next up, just basically talked about the stretcher. Good recovery card, pretty mandatory in this deck. And then we've got the field blowers, another typical tech I run. In this deck is much more important because getting rid of your opponent's tools, even if they're useless, like if they don't really bother you too much, if you remove them from the field and they get in a discard pile, it boosts Trash Lunch once again. So this card is very good as well. We got a few switching options, 2 switches. That's it. No escape boards because nobody can really utilize it besides Jirachi. And Absol is a thing too. Just running a few switches is better. And then the last thing, last item at least, is these choice bands, triple choice band. You have to run choice band to boost the damage against the GX Pokemon. Help get in that range of 2-hit KO or 1-hit KO. With Tag Team GXs around, it's not gonna be too possible to get 1-hit knockouts on them all the time against Pokemon like Reshiram and Charizard GX. But I mean, with Choice Band, at least you can get those 1-hit knockouts much easier on stage 1s, other basic GXs. And Choice Band is going to help you get in that 2-hit KO range at the very least many times. And then last but not least, we've got the Shrine of Punishment here. It's the stadium of choice for this deck. There's a bunch of other decent options, like you can do the Ultra of the Moon, help out your retreating. But this card is just, it works wonders in a deck like this since it's anti-meta. Spread the damage on those GX Pokemon, soften them up even more. That's the point. It's the best card to run in a deck like this, I guess. You can do something like the new Power Plant, block your opponent's abilities for GX Pokemon. It wouldn't be bad, but Shrine of Punishment, getting those damage counters on is the way to go, I would say. Okay, and all we got left is the supporters and energies. Energies, like I've said, is pretty simple. Just 10 psychic energies. Just like with Ninetales, I did try this deck when I had like 12, 11, maybe even 13 at one point. I don't know. I think 12 was the maximum that I had in this deck, and you really don't need them. You really don't want them to clog. You want to boost the consistency of this deck as much as you can, because you can't really cut on the Pokemon. Like you have to run your max Alolan Muk line. You have to run your max Garbodor line if this guy's going to be the focus attacker, the Pokemon you want to take advantage of. You want to take advantage of Trash Launch. You gotta max them out, so you can't really cut corners on them. So 10 psychic energies, you don't need that many anyway. Like I've said, only need one for Garbodor. Okay, and now the supporters. For Cynthia, self-explanatory, max out the Cynthia. Then we got 2 Lily. We do have a few discard outlets, and if you're lucky enough to see this turn 1 with Jirachi, or maybe you draw it, then that's good for you. Get that extra plus, and draw as many cards as you can. Get your basic Pokemon and the cards you need that way. And next up we got the 1 Eriga's Hospitality. Solid supporter. Once again, it can always be dead if your opponent doesn't commit a lot on the board, but at the right time, it's going to be the best supporter you want to see. So she's pretty good. Then we got 2 Titaniza. This card is also really solid. It's really grown on me. I was kind of iffy on it in the beginning when we had the rotation, but this card is pretty good. It's always handy to have that sort of a switching effect around, especially in a deck like this with big retreaters and the Jirachis. It's quite nice. So this is another switching outlet, 2 switches, the 2 Titaniza's, and this is where the Guzma comes in. Now I did have 2 Guzma in this deck, one of the few decks where I run more than 1 Guzma, but I sacrificed one of these for an Energy Spinner. Energy Spinner is another card that boosts consistency. You know, it can be another energy. It can give you that extra plus in the beginning. So, had to sacrifice a Guzma, but it is what it is. Guzma is also a switching outlet in this deck, and it's going to help us pull something, get that important KO. And then the last supporter is going to be this Volkner. Just one of this guy. Maybe I want to grab like a Choice Band. Maybe I want to grab like communication, perhaps a mysterious treasure. It's another one of those ways for us to get our evolved Pokemon like that if we need somebody specifically for an emergency. So yeah, 1 Volkner, why not? You can do, I mean, I guess you could drop, no, I mean not really, because this guy has an ability. So Green Search wouldn't be that good in this deck. But this is my deck, guys. No matter what you do, this deck will kind of beat itself up sometimes. You will lose to yourself when you have bad starts. Jirachi aims to help us out with this. You could do a Rangoon if you want, if you maybe don't have Jirachis. It wouldn't be too bad either, I guess. And you can try and boost the consistency more, but like I've said, you can't really cut corners with your Pokemon line here. So, yeah. If you're going to build this Alolan Muk Garbodor deck, and the 2 piles of shit Pokemon are going to combine together, you gotta max them out. That's my belief. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys matches with this deck, as always. It's going to be pretty good. This deck is kind of fun. It is kind of shitty for your opponent. And, you know, it can be very good. I mean, if your opponent plays one of those decks where they dump billions of items themselves in their discard pile anyway, then Garbodor will have a good time against them. There's a lot of decks this guy will have a good time, like the Turbo Zekrom decks, perhaps other Turbo Fire decks, Turbo Rayquaza decks, any deck that just dumps a bunch of items and they can't do much about it, like Malamar decks perhaps, you know. He's going to be really good against them. And when you get a few more with Muk too, then it becomes even worse. Since your Pokemon are only 1 prize, Pokemon 2, we don't have any GXs here. We've got the Shrine. You know, this deck can be pretty solid. So this is my list. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the matches. This has been SaberWolf94. Please subscribe, leave a like, share this video with your friends if they want to see a decent list of this deck. I'm sure some people are interested. they wanted to make this sort of a combo work between Muk and Garbodor. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Saber 4. We'll say, yeah.